Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Real Food Recovery Podcast, where we explore the powerful connection between real food, mental clarity, and freedom from ultra processed foods. If you've ever told yourself, this is the last time I'm eating sugar, only to find yourself back in the cycle of cravings a few days later, you're not alone. Sugar has a way of quietly working its way into our habits, our emotions, and even the way our brains respond to food. Today's guest understands that struggle better than most. Netta Gorman is the host of the popular Life After Sugar podcast and the author of a brand new book focused on helping people break free from the grip sugar can have on their lives. What makes Netta's approach so refreshing is that she brings honesty, compassion, and even a lot of humor to a topic that many people feel ashamed about. In today's conversation, we're going to talk about why sugar cravings can feel so powerful, what's really happening in the brain when we try to quit, and most importantly, how people can move from feeling stuck in the cycle to actually experiencing freedom. So, if you've ever wondered whether sugar might be controlling more of your life than you'd like, this episode is for you. Now, I want to say not only hello to Netta, but I want to tell you a little bit more about her and her book. The name of her book is Break Free from Sugar Cravings. She used to joke that she was the world's number one sweet tooth. She was proud of being a chocoholic. In fact, chocolate was her best friend, her comfort, her reward. Every night, she'd declare the kitchen closed, then find herself back in the pantry 5 minutes later, unwrapping a chocolatey treat she had promised herself not to touch. By her mid 40s, Netta's cravings were out of control. Her jeans were tight, her stomach was bloated, and she was often constipated. She felt sluggish, and by 3 p.m., she needed a sweet snack just to function. Netta thought this was normal. She thought she just needed more discipline, more willpower. She's tried portion control and being good in air quotes all day so she could earn a treat at night. But she ended up out of control with her cravings more times than she can count. Eventually, Netta hit a point where she didn't want food deciding how she felt, what she wore, how much energy she had, or how she felt about herself. But she didn't want to give up her comfort foods. Unwillingly, Netta decided to experiment with cutting sugar and processed foods for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks, no more. To be honest, she was scared and she resisted. Why? Because she loved her chocolate and sweets, but Netta also dreamed of having steady energy all day, feeling confident around food, and not being bothered by cravings for chocolate and sweets. Those 2 weeks changed everything. Her energy started to come back, the bloating eased, her digestion improved, the constant pull toward sugar softened, her pants were a little looser. She wasn't fighting with herself or her willpower anymore, and she started to feel like she had control over her life again. Now, Netta guides women towards transforming their relationship with comfort foods and sugar because you deserve more than just a food plan. You deserve support, accountability, validation, and a proven way to feel free from cravings. And this is exactly why Netta created the Freedom from Cravings Formula program to help you break that cycle of cravings and emotional eating so that you can feel comfortable in your body, confident in your choices, and finally trust yourself around food again. Hello, Netta.
Hi,
How are
Paige.
you doing
I'm
today?
great, thank you.
We are very, very privileged to have you. I have known you for a while and
Yes,
admire the work that you do. Your new
same.
book focuses on helping people get off sugar, but many people don't realize how deeply sugar can affect their brain and behavior. What was the moment in your own journey when you realized sugar wasn't actually a treat, but something that actually had control over you? And by the way, all of that I said about you, I could have written that about myself. That
Right?
was literally me. And it's most people's story, don't you
Yeah.
think? I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
we
we
all
think
nod
we're all
our
alone,
yeah.
but there's millions of us.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what was the turning point for you that you realized that sugar actually was not your friend?
Yeah, I think it was when I could not deny that my body had like backed me into a corner, and I
Yes.
just I felt so awful. My digestion was so awful. My skin breakouts, my weight yo-yoing, like the whole package was so bad that I couldn't deny it
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, I resisted it for the longest time. I did not want
Sure.
to believe that sugar was the culprit because,
Wow.
as you
Yeah.
said in my story, sugar was my best friend. I couldn't
Absolutely.
turn against it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was a tough mindset shift, really, really tough.
No, I like what you said about you were pushed into a corner because, quite frankly, does anybody change until they're in the corner?
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody
I don't.
gets up, jumps up in the morning and says, "Hey, you know what? I want to stop eating the one thing I love the
Yeah.
most."
Yeah. And is it fair to say, I guess I'm speaking for myself, that this was like the thing that you look forward to most in your life, that this is what gave me the most joy above anything else in my
Oh, yeah.
life?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And the most joy. And if it wasn't the most joy, it was making the sadness and the stress and feeling hurt or upset, whatever, go away.
Oh yeah. You just kind of melt into this bliss, right? When it hits your tongue, you're just like,
Yeah.
ah, yeah,
Yes.
this is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
this is really
absolutely.
good.
And the irony is that I found out later was that this kind of expiration, like exhaling, is temporary. And actually, we think that it helps us to cope with things, but what I found out later by experiencing it is that it actually prevents us
Yeah,
from coping.
yeah, yeah. Totally, totally numbing out. That's what we use it for. That's escape,
Yeah,
right? In
yeah.
essence, we're trying to escape from reality.
Exactly.
And it's
Which,
great for a
no
minute.
shame. Yeah, no shame.
Hmm.
I mean, we all do it, and I did it, and we've never learned anything else. So that's all we know how to
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, and so we know that many people have tried to quit sugar and they feel great for a few days, and then suddenly those cravings hit hard again. Let's talk about what is actually happening in the brain during those moments and how people can push through that phase because people are energetic and excited in the beginning about this new healthy life they're going to lead and all
Hmm.
these things. But once those cravings, woof,
Yes.
flare up, you've got to
Yeah.
have some things in place in order to keep it together, man. So, do you want to talk about that when the
Yeah.
cravings hit?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I just made a podcast episode on the Life After Sugar podcast about what to expect with air quotes detox
Mm-hmm.
symptoms. Actually, not everyone reacts the same way. Because we're all different. And so
Right.
I've come across people that didn't have any kind of symptoms when they
Oh,
cut sugar.
interesting.
Lucky for them.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
most people do, but not all. So some people will experience headaches, peeing more often, funnily enough, and
Mm-hmm.
and kind of what I experienced was a kind of mini depressive state
Mm-hmm.
because sugar acts on your dopamine, gives you a dopamine rush. Dopamine is the feel-good hormone. And when you don't have that high, that sugar high, then you're kind of left with what you're actually feeling. And sometimes those are uncomfortable, totally natural feelings, but uncomfortable because we're not used to feeling them because we're used to numbing
Mm-hmm.
them with sugar. So when we stop eating sugar, it can go from, it's a very temporary situation, but it can be really uncomfortable, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And most of us cannot cope with a bit of discomfort because the irony is we've always turned to sugar to not have to deal with discomfort. So we find ourselves in this kind of cycle, right?
Yeah. I do you have an opinion on why people are so terrified of discomfort?
Well, I think we don't have much experience of it in general, at least, in our comfortable Western world where
Mm-hmm.
we're fed and clothed and warm, and we have pretty much everything we need, right, at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't actually have that much experience being uncomfortable. And as I said, we have access to all kinds of things to take away the discomfort, sugar, is one example, but all kinds of things. We're cold, we have heat, or we can make ourselves warm again. We're hungry, there's probably too much food available, and so on. So we just don't have much experience actually feeling normal human emotions.
And don't you think we're a society of immediate gratification too?
Well, yeah, totally, because everything is so readily available. So again, we don't have practice actually sitting with any kind of emotion.
It all started with the microwave.
I feel like it started a little before that, but yeah, as an example for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're used to having our needs met right away and we get huffy
Yes.
if if they're not. So, yeah, I appreciate that discussion. I think it's a good topic for people to be aware of that it's get comfortable with being uncomfortable because
Yeah,
people that fight with addiction, I mean, impulse control is the name of the game. And
totally.
that's, you've got to start with being uncomfortable or
Yeah, and
comfortable with being uncomfortable.
right. And the good news is it's not forever. It's actually pretty
Right.
temporary. But
Yes.
sometimes a few seconds can feel like a lifetime.
Agree.
Yeah,
Especially cravings. I mean, they are a beast. They are a
absolutely.
beast. You can try like talking yourself out of it, and 5 minutes later, you're like, okay, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And
So,
I often say, with no judgment here, but I often say that cravings, especially sugar cravings or cravings for ultra processed foods, are what I call a first world problem. In other
mhm,
words,
true.
people who experience real hunger don't have the luxury of having sugar cravings.
Yeah, that's true. And it's everywhere in our society. I was just, before we were recording, I was at a store called REI. It's an outdoor sporting equipment store. I've got a hike coming up, and I had to buy these neoprene socks for my boots because we're going to be hiking in the slot canyons in Zion National Park
Cool.
in Utah, and we're going to be in water, and these are supposed to keep your feet warmer. And so I'm checking out at the checkout, and there's I mean, I call them peanut butter cups, but they're just healthy, the healthy
Yeah.
word. But I mean, everywhere you turn, you can't even go to a sports equipment store without facing those. And for a second, I look at those on the package, they look like peanut butter cups. You get that initial zing, and I'm like, oh, nobody's around. I could just go ahead and get one of those and eat them in my
Mm,
car. Nobody would know. So
mm.
it's just a second that it's there, and then you're like, okay, what are you talking about? But it's just you're having to fight with it all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
which go ahead.
Yeah, which is difficult to cope with. It doesn't need to be such a big fight all the time, but it's for some of us, it never quite goes away. But what we
Hmm.
learn to do is to find ways of not acting on it right
That's
away.
right. Yeah, that's right. And so don't you think for me, just as you continue to practice, you just get more proficient at
Like anything.
yeah, those muscles get stronger.
Absolutely. And I'm a teacher in my regular job, a college teacher. And I mean, can you imagine if my students came along and said, listen, I don't know how to do this and that I teach. I don't know, analyze Shakespeare. And if I said to them, oh, well, I guess you'll never learn. No,
Hmm.
we can learn anything,
Yeah, I agree.
right? But
Yeah.
it takes practice. And we're not very good at the beginning.
Yes. And I only have one rule I tell our people in our real food recovery community, you just don't give up. Don't give up. Please don't give up. Please never, never give up. That's the only rule.
And I
Just
think
don't give
it's
up.
easier not to give up when we give ourselves permission to A, not be perfect, and B, not be very good at it.
Yes, I love that. It's the beautiful messy middle
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we need to embrace, which brings up the point about one thing I appreciated about you. Your book is great, by the way.
Thank
Very cute,
you.
very humorous. I love your humor
Thank you.
because I'm a giggler and I enjoy giggling all the time. And when you approach your topic with humor and compassion instead of shame, I think that opens up a lot of doors for people. So, why do you think that shame is such a barrier to recovery when it comes to sugar and ultra processed foods?
Yeah, I think it's to do with our unrealistic expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, if I'm going to blame anyone, I think I'd like to blame the diet culture
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
giving us these unrealistic
Oh, totally.
expectations.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
And so it's just like self-defeating because the expectation is unrealistic. Obviously, we're never going to reach those goals that are in themselves unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we feel ashamed that we haven't reached these goals. The whole system is set up for us to fail. And here
Oh,
we
totally.
are blaming ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Mm.
yeah, I remember signing up. I mean, Weight Watchers, LA Weight Loss, the cookie diet, whatever it was. And you spend a lot of money on all this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
The LA Weight Loss, they sold their bars that you would buy, and you ate several of them a day, and uh,
Oh,
Metafast and the prepackaged foods and things like that. And
yeah,
so, yeah, you lose a little bit of weight in the beginning for a minute until real life sets in, and then it all comes back and more. And then you are like more depressed.
absolutely.
You've spent all this money, you spent all that time starving, and now it's all back and then
Yes.
some. And you're like, oh, wow, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm
Yeah. And
never.
I think concentrating on the weight, making most things, if not everything, about the weight actually prevents us from looking under the hood and getting to
I
the
like that.
deeper reasons,
Hmm.
not just why we have weight to lose in the first place, but what's actually going on. And weight is just a symptom. I'm not
That's right.
reducing it in any way. I know it's important. But what I mean is that a lot of people approach the whole sugar thing with this goal of losing weight. And in my experience helping people, things are going on underneath the surface that need to be addressed. And only concentrating on the weight will prevent you from addressing those deeper issues.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I like to say when you give food a bigger job than it was ever designed to do, when you're using food for reasons other than nutrition, you're giving food a bigger job than it was ever designed to do, and you're going to end up with problems. And weight is just a byproduct of, I love that phrase of looking under the hood. I haven't heard that before, but
Mm.
that sums it up nicely, which, a lot of people listening to this podcast feel like they've failed at every diet they've ever tried. So how do you think is getting off sugar is different than traditional dieting? Why does mindset matter so much in this process?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing with diets, in my humble opinion, or in my experience, is that they're designed to fail because the
Oh yeah.
premise of a diet is designed for failure. I hate to say
Mm-hmm.
it, and my apologies to the diet industry, and I'm being slightly sarcastic here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the diet industry has made us believe that if we just tweak what we eat, then we will lose weight. And that whole premise is completely wrong and designed
Mm-hmm.
to fail. Whereas, and
Mm-hmm.
so we fail over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just variations on the same theme of failure
Mm-hmm.
with every diet you try.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, I'll quote you, this whole sugar thing that I stand for is different because in my program, we look at what's going on at a deeper level of why you're so attached to sugar, you and me both, right? And everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
why
Mm-hmm.
we are so attached to sugar. Because if it wasn't something deeper, we'd just stop eating it and that would be the end of that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I found that
Obviously,
for
it's a
myself,
drug, right? I
it
mean, you have to go through detox, so it's obviously got drug-like effects on your body.
Yeah, and in the same way as drugs, we're not just connected biologically to sugar, we are connected emotionally. It means something to us from our childhood. It means,
Oh,
for
totally.
me, it was comfort, it was
Totally.
reward. It's not
Hmm.
just the food, it goes way deeper than that. And unless we address what it means to us and find alternatives to get to respond to those basic human needs, we all need comfort and reward. That's not the problem. The thing is how to get them without necessarily turning to sugar.
Yeah, you need to turn to sources internally inside your body versus looking externally for
Well, it can
those.
also be external things like you were saying, hiking or
Yeah.
some activities that we enjoy, be they physical or artistic or whatever. I mean, my
Hmm.
book was an outlet for me.
Oh,
Instead of
I
eating
agree.
sugar,
Mine
I
too.
just write about it.
Mm. True, true, true. Which, we talk about how people often think quitting sugar means life becomes restrictive and joyless. From your experience, what actually becomes better once someone breaks free from sugar?
Everything.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
Everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we do. And I imagined life would be sad and joyless without
Uh-huh.
the thing I loved most, which for
Mm-hmm.
me was chocolate. But
Mm-hmm.
the opposite is true. And you would never have been able to convince me of that had I not experienced it for myself. Right? So there is no way to imagine unless you experience it yourself. But I can tell you physically, I got my 20-year-old body back, and I'm
Yeah.
closer to 60 than I am to 50, and I don't feel it. Don't look it,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
physically, not just for my weight, for how I move and my suppleness and everything else. I told you I just came from my yoga class
Mm-hmm.
just half an hour ago. Um, Emotionally, I feel so much more in control, and I don't mean white knuckling in control. I mean in control of my emotions. In other words, I know what to do when I have an emotion, if only to sit with it and actually
Mm-hmm.
experience it. And so my emotions don't control me anymore, which is a fantastic liberation for me
Totally.
you know. So there's physical, emotional, and also just for my brain, I don't get brain fog anymore. I don't get energy slumps. I'm like on from 6 in the morning until 11 at night. Like I'm a bit annoying at how much energy I have.
Yeah, it's like being released from prison, don't you
It is.
think?
But
Because
and a prison that you didn't realize you were in.
totally, because your addiction is always working the room. It's always scanning the room. Just like I said at the checkout counter, believe me, my eyes noticed the air quotes healthy peanut butter cups that they were trying to sell for hikers.
Yeah.
So in the gummies, this and the fast energy, that is just a processed junk. But yes, even now I have a high level of awareness about
Yeah.
it. I have a different reaction, but my addiction does scan the room in a different way with
Yes. Yeah.
awareness, but it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, but the exhaustion is really offset by this awareness. So you kind of, for me at least, uh, I do like you. I notice the things, but they don't make me spiral out of control anymore. It's
Hmm.
just I notice, and it's a bit kind of eye roll, kind of, oh, there's all that
Yes.
junk again. It's
Hmm.
everywhere, but it doesn't feel like it controls my actions.
Right. And don't you think there's like a level of appreciation or gratitude that I'm so grateful that I'm not buying 10 of those, sweeping it into my bag, and I can't get to the parking lot fast enough to start shoveling it in? I'm
Yeah, yeah.
so grateful that I don't have that deep desire. And it's not like I never have a craving, but it's at a 2 or a 3, not a
Exactly.
12.
Exactly. I think the expectation to never have cravings again is unrealistic, especially
Uh-huh.
for people like us who had them so strong for so long.
Yeah, we were professionals.
Yeah. But I mean, so that's managing your expectations is part of
Yeah,
this whole process. And so I've
totally.
often had people say to me, well, I didn't lose as much weight as I thought, or I thought I'd have no cravings within, some unrealistic number of days. And so managing your expectations is part of this whole process.
I agree. Do not set yourself up to think this is going to be a perfect linear line straight to success because we're human
Yeah.
and we have all these life experiences. We have traditions, we have birthday parties, we have anniversaries, and just all these things that just keep coming at you, coming at you,
Yeah.
coming at you. And food by far is the hardest addiction to get over because we still have to eat. If only I was a drug addict.
I don't wish
Why
it on
couldn't I
you.
have?
But I often say that real life happens whether or not you eat sugar. So
Yeah,
whether you're sugar-free or not, or anything in between, real life is going to happen. As you said, all these events and whatnot. Look, a whole pandemic happened and I was sugar-free, so I didn't stop that
yeah,
from happening. So
yes,
the thing is that being sugar-free doesn't take away by magic all of these challenges and regular ups and downs of life, but it does allow you to learn how to cope with them in other ways than with
yeah.
sugar.
Yeah. Yes. And your gratitude for those new skills. I'm telling you, it's just like, oh, thank you. I'm not trapped because you do feel trapped before. Don't you agree that you just felt like a victim to it? Like, oh, I have no control. There's nothing I can do about it. I must have to give in to it because what else can I do than just, eat more of it?
Yeah, I just thought it was normal, actually. I thought
Me
everyone did
too.
it and I was normal. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, I have to say, I was normal. I mean, the whole concept of
Yeah.
normal, I don't buy into. This is what I was doing. Lots and lots of us do it. And now this is what I'm doing. And lots of us are also doing now what I'm doing. In other words, coping with life in other ways than with food and sugar.
Yeah. I just thought I had a willpower problem and I just had a big appetite and couldn't stop.
You thought it was your
I,
fault.
oh yeah. And actually, I didn't really see anybody else doing what I was
Mm.
doing. I mean, I could eat a whole batch of cookies, no problem, because I'm no quitter. I'm an overachiever.
Yeah.
But I didn't, there's nobody else talking about it. And
Mm.
I really didn't even have language to put to it. I didn't know it was an actual problem. I just thought it was me, and it would be embarrassing to tell people. And how would I even explain it? Because I didn't
Yeah.
understand it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yes, that's the shame that we were talking about, right?
Hmm.
And so I want to take this whole issue and take it out the closet, really.
Yeah. No, I agree. And don't you think it's getting better with more conversations
Oh,
around it?
yeah. Oh,
I
yes,
really appreciate the discussions that are coming out.
totally. Because I just wrote my book, Break Free from Sugar Cravings. And believe me, it's not the first book on the subject. I didn't break any kind of glass ceiling here. It was done for me. And,
Uh-huh.
you have a book and others have books. And it's just different voices together in this conversation.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that so much. And for someone who is listening right now and is just realizing sugar actually might be a problem in their life, what are the first two or three steps that you recommend they take without feeling overwhelmed in the beginning? Because we want to avoid that at all
Yeah.
costs because you'll quit faster than you started if you feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the awareness that you were talking about just earlier is one of the first steps, if not the first step, before you even change what you eat. For
I
me,
agree.
I wasn't that aware. Then I did this little 2 week experiment and that raised my awareness. For me, it worked that way. But because people listening are already more aware than I ever was, because they're listening
Right.
to this podcast, I what I ask my participants to do in my program is the first thing I ask is to look at or to think about their two whys, not just why they're doing this for their own reasons, but the second why is what would the ripple effect be for people around you and society, the world, if you became more confident
Totally.
around food and less
I love
of a
that.
victim to the cravings. So
Hmm.
often we kind of say, yeah, I did my why, I know why I'm doing it, but it's kind of all about us, which is also important. But when we step outside of ourselves and look outwards, you can be such a positive role model and vehicle for change in the world if you're not constantly struggling with cravings, because you have all this extra energy that's freed up to do other things.
Hmm. I agree. It affects all kinds of relationships, and people do notice. My grandkids say Grandma doesn't eat sugar. Or if I would, I remember picking up something that I thought was one thing, and it was a muffin or something. I thought it was something else. And my granddaughter said, Grandma, that has sugar in it. So they're like my little monitors.
Yeah,
So they're watching. They're
they're
they're they're
watching.
paying attention.
And you're the best role model that they could have because you're not lecturing them about it.
No, 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 no,
You're
no, no,
doing
no,
it.
no. Mm-hmm.
And
You
you're
got to be
doing it and
really,
yeah, and not like going on about it. They just see it as normal.
yeah. Yes, I agree. And you have to be very careful with kids and actually with anybody to not be this, Gestapo methods, hardcore
Right.
ruler. No, nobody's going to respond well to that.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, don't you agree? Until people are ready, they're not going to make the change. They have to be ready. This is a big
Yeah.
one, guys.
Yeah.
People have got to be ready to make the changes.
Yeah. And
And so,
sometimes change comes a little bit before you're ready. In other
yeah.
words, it did for me. I
Mm-hmm.
just experimented thinking, oh, this is just for 2 weeks and then I'll go straight back. And that was almost 11 years ago. And I never looked back. Why? Because I wasn't necessarily ready. Like I couldn't see this as for the rest of my life, or I would have
Mm-hmm.
run for the hills.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
want to say, sometimes it's a wonderful way for self-sabotage to think of this in terms of for the rest of my life.
Yes, I agree with that. And I love also what you said about starting with awareness. And sometimes we don't actually have to even start with sugar. Maybe we can start with sleep.
Sure.
Maybe we can start with movement. So wherever you're comfortable, and I like to say, what's killing you most? Let's look at what's killing you most. It
And
might
sometimes,
be,
yeah,
go
it could
ahead.
be anything. Whatever feels
Mm-hmm.
doable,
Mm-hmm.
you're better off to start with something that feels doable than with something
Mm-hmm.
that you air quotes should start with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we make small changes. We're not going to go in and change every single thing in your life
Yeah.
today.
No, no,
No, nobody can
that
stick with that.
that has been proven time and time again not to work.
Hmm. Hmm. Sugar's sneaky too. It hides in so many foods that people think are healthy. What do you think some of the most surprising places you see sugar sneaking into people's diets?
Probably non-sweet foods like condiments and things
Oh,
like that.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's shocking, right?
yeah.
It,
Oh, yeah. Basically, yeah, when people tell me sugar's in everything, I like to come back and say, no, it's not. And then because actually in what you and I know is real whole foods,
hmm.
sugar in its processed form is 100% absent from all whole foods.
Right,
And
right.
so, really, what I think we probably need a better vocabulary for the word sugar. It's just not precise enough because it depends what we mean when we say sugar. But processed sugar, added sugar, is only present in processed products that are
True.
edible. I can't even call them foods, right? And so even non-sweet foods. And so basically, if you have any kind of prepackaged or processed edible products, chances are most of them will have some type of added sugar or starch or flour or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stick to real whole foods that haven't been tampered with by the food industry, chances are none of them have added sugars at all.
You're not going to believe this. I had to have like a fourth a cup of like roasted peanuts
Mm,
for a recipe I was making. I was zipping through the grocery store, just thought, okay, roasted peanuts, grab that. Maybe they were sea salt roasted peanuts, something like
mm,
that, but innocuous. So I just grabbed it, threw it in the cart, zipped home, and I was kind of hungry, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and open that and just take a few handfuls of that. And the first handful, I'm like, those are good. I mean, I
Mhm.
felt that I know that familiar where the brain lights up and
Yeah.
you're like, whoa. And
Yes.
I'm like, these almost taste sweet to me. I can't believe I haven't had peanuts in years, but these peanuts taste sweet to me. And I'm like, I went and got another handful. And before you know it, I had eaten 4 or 5 handfuls of those
Okay.
stupid nuts. I'm like, what is going on? Why am I lighting up so much like a Christmas tree here? I went and looked on the back. I didn't even think there would need to be an ingredient list. I failed at my first rule to always look at the label.
Mm,
I honestly just thought it was peanuts and salt.
sure.
Guess what was the like second ingredient?
I can't imagine.
Sh You're funny. Sugar. And I'm like, what the heck? And
Yeah.
I had seen all the honey roasted peanuts and I knew not to get those. It never in a million years. And this was just a few months ago that that happened to me. I'm like,
Mhm.
what? I had to get rid of them. I had to get them out of my house because I started thinking about those suckers and I wanted to get my hands back in them.
Yeah.
And the last thing I need is for those in my house because if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. So
Oh,
that
totally.
I make sure to not have that kind of stuff in the house. But I was shocked actually. And at first I thought, I'm taking these back and getting my money back. And then I'm like, it's my own fault.
Yeah,
It's
own
not the
it.
store's fault.
No, it's actually not really fault, but yeah, own it. You did this. Okay, lesson learned. Move
Hmm.
on.
Yeah. You know, many people worry that if they remove sugar, they'll start overeating other foods instead. But what have you observed about appetite and hunger once someone becomes sugar-free?
Yeah. Well, what I observed in myself and the people I help is that when you replace sugar with real whole foods that are nutritious and filling, especially
Hmm.
healthy fats and proteins,
Hmm.
oh
Hmm.
my goodness, you're less hungry less often. Who would have believed? I mean,
Hmm.
now I know why and all the biology behind it. But at the time, I remember I was like, well, it feels like I'm eating less and certainly less often. Why am I not hungrier? Because we're taught to eat 3 times a day plus 2 snacks. And here I was not eating sugar, and filling up on good proteins, good fats. And like, I wasn't hungry between meals. I'd
Hmm.
never experienced that. And then
Hmm.
as time went on, I was like, but I'm not even hungry more than like twice a day, if that. So the most stressful thing about it was that it was going against everything I'd ever been taught about hunger,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
about how hunger works and when you should be eating. But once I got over the fact that actually maybe what I was told was not necessarily accurate or accurate for
Hmm.
every single person on the planet, then I was like, well, maybe I should kind of eat when I'm hungry. And that was my new concept.
It is a new concept, right?
Yeah.
Instead of how soon can I eat again?
Yeah.
What am I going to eat next? I
Yeah.
mean, that food noise of what am I going to eat next? How much can I have? How much can I get away with? And it's almost like when you're in that living in that diet culture, you're just trying to moderate processed foods, right? Because you still want to fit into your pants. How much of this can I eat without, gaining weight? And it
Yeah,
just
and
never
the weight
works.
thing comes back, and also the control thing comes back. And for people like us, and most people with processed foods, they are designed not to be moderated.
Right,
And, companies have spent millions of dollars, making sure that we cannot moderate them. Otherwise, they'd lose money, right? They couldn't
right.
sell them. So, this whole life experience of trying and failing to moderate certain types of foods, of always like obsessing about the next snack or the next meal, this all calmed down when I stopped eating
Hmm.
sugar and for my own use also flour. And suddenly here I was, not hungry very often, and still enjoying my food. And all that extra energy and brain power
Yes.
I
Yes.
could use for in other ways for a greater good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I agree with that 1000%. So, beautiful. So you've worked and I've worked with so many people who have tried to quit sugar multiple times before finally
Yes.
succeeding. What do you see in people who eventually make it stick? Who are those people?
Yeah, I think the people that come for help in my program are people that know all the info, they know the theory, they've read all the books, they know the science, they've listened to the podcast, they know the
Mm-hmm.
info. What they
Mm-hmm.
struggle with is implementation, if
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're highly intelligent, very knowledgeable
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's the going from the theory to the practice that's the challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
I help them because we go deeper than just the food.
Right. It
And
has to
that
be.
makes all the difference.
I agree with that. We've got to look at the why in our program when we meet over Zoom 6 hours a week, and we're talking about most other things other than food because
Yeah.
we're getting to the root thing of what caused them to have a sidestep or whatever, and how do we handle that the next time that comes around because that is just life. Have you ever heard of the 33-33-33 principle?
Tell me about it.
So 33% of people get this applies to all addiction. 33% of people give up their drug of choice and never go back. The
Mhm.
next 33 people are on off on off on off on
Mhm.
off till they finally get off, and then the last 33 will die from whatever addiction they have. And most people fall in that middle range, right?
Mm.
And so it's not, I guess my message is it's not abnormal for people to have to struggle. It's
Yeah,
a zigzaggy. It's an
yeah,
upward zigzaggy for
absolutely.
most people, which is why I say my only rule is please don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. It
And
gets better.
manage your expectations. So,
Yes.
right going into my program, I tell people you know, be realistic. This is a zigzag journey. You're going to
Yeah.
make huge steps forward, but there's going to be a few steps back on the
Hmm.
way. But you cannot understand what you understand through this process. You
That's
can't
right.
unlearn or unsee what the progress that you've done, that you've made. And so expecting yourself to never have a craving again, never think about sugar again, I don't think that's realistic. But
Hmm.
what I teach people is exactly what to do and how to behave when that pops up again.
And don't you think this is an opportunity for people to find out what they're really made of?
I think the people that I help know what they're really made of. They just don't trust themselves to follow
Hmm.
through. And there's
Hmm.
a lot of work about self-trust and practicing following through, doing what you told yourself you would do. And
Hmm.
so it's they tend to believe that they're failures because, let's say, the diet culture has shown that to be
Yeah.
true. And so it's kind of like helping people to reframe and recreate how they see themselves.
Yeah.
And the people that come to me I usually help people over 50, women over 50
Hmm.
especially, because we're kind of above 50 and very often over 60, we not only have more time for ourselves because we've kind of, had the
Kids
kids
are
out the
grown.
house or whatever, um, but we're more aware that there's more behind us, more time behind us than there is in front of us. And if we don't
Hmm.
get this sorted out now, we won't be able to enjoy our last few decades.
Hmm. I agree. I was saying that to someone the other day. I don't want to live long. I want to live well. I
Right.
don't just want to live long. If I'm living like some of the people that I see around me who are in horrible shape, that is not living. And I
Mm.
don't want to do that. I want to live my last few decades very well, and there's no way to stay on sugar and live the life that I want to lead. There's just no way for me to reach my goals and have
Yeah.
sugar in my life.
I think those goals, those personal goals, become more immediate when we get a bit older in the second half of life. At least that's the people that gravitate towards me and my program.
Well, yeah, and as you get older, you got kind of got a little more aches and pains, and you're like, I
Mhm.
don't want to do it this way.
Yeah,
I want to feel better, which I just think our health becomes a bigger priority as we get older.
sure. For sure. For sure.
You know, if someone listening today feels stuck in the cycle of cravings, guilt, and starting over again on Monday, what message would you want them to hear right now? What would you want to leave people with?
I think there's hope. There's definitely hope. But sometimes it can be difficult to do this on your own because you're kind of stuck in these lifelong, really strong beliefs about yourself and
Hmm.
this lack of self-trust. And
Hmm.
so, just my message is just know that there is help and support and accountability out there, whether, it's with myself in my Freedom from Cravings Formula program or in the book that I just wrote, which is Free from Sugar Cravings, which is really my program in a book form, because not everyone can afford my program and private coaching. That's why I wrote the book as well, to make it more available. But
Yeah.
the point I'm making is you don't have to do this on your own. There is support out there. And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process. Having someone to help you sort of walk you through it can actually make the whole process a lot easier and
Oh,
shorter.
yeah. Yeah, I heard Vera Tarman say you've got to have support. If you could do it on your own, you would, and you haven't by now, so you can't.
Absolutely.
She does not mince words.
Yeah, I
And
love her.
she's right.
She's right. And
Sh
there's no shame in asking for support and help. No shame at all.
yeah.
Again, as a teacher, I'm like, well, if people didn't need help to learn a language or whatever, then they wouldn't need me. But,
Hmm.
so there's lots of support out there. And if some people need more personalized support, it's out there, it's
Yeah.
available.
Yeah. In air quotes, I like to use the word funner. It's just
Mm.
funner to do do it with a group too, if that
For
is an
sure.
option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You feel seen, heard, and understood, which are these basic human needs that just make you feel like part of a tribe and that people get you and that you're in a position where you're not abnormal. The shame goes away when it's out in the open. So many benefits to
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
We have a couple listener questions, if you don't
Sure.
mind answering those. Someone wrote in and said, how long does it typically take for sugar cravings to go away once someone stops eating sugar?
Yeah, great question. I often say that sugar cravings will go away if you let them, if you don't feed them. So
Yeah.
I'm not very popular by saying what I'm going to say, but if you take a certain period of time, let's say 2 weeks, as an experiment for not eating anything sweet tasting, including fruit and dried fruit, and see what happens to your
Hmm.
taste buds and your tastes in general. You
Hmm.
probably won't enjoy your food as much because you're not used to it not being sweet all the time.
Hmm.
But the sugar cravings are very likely to go away or at least reduce a lot faster if you don't feed them with alternative sweet tastes. And just for
Hmm.
example, and I'm not saying never eat fruit again or anything like that, and 2 weeks won't give you scurvy or anything like that, I promise. But as an experiment, give it a try. No sweet tasting foods and see what happens.
Yeah, it's amazing how your taste buds really return to their natural factory settings. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And once you get off sugar, your desire for that, your taste buds just really do change. And
yeah,
it's
they
like
do.
a gift, your body's natural gift back to you, which kind of taps on. I get this question a lot, so I'll let you answer this one, but Do natural sweeteners like honey or maple syrup keep the addiction cycle going? I'll let you answer
For,
that.
for some people, yes, they do. For others, they make it doable to reduce gradually.
Hmm.
I can't put 8 billion people into two big groups, really, but I'm going to do it anyway. Uh, a lot of people when it comes to sugar are either abstainers or moderators, right? And I borrowed these terms. Like yourself, I think I'm an abstainer. In other words, zero is better for me
Yeah.
because I cannot moderate. It's not kind to ask me to moderate.
Yeah. Unmoderatable. It's another
Oh,
word I
right.
made up.
But there are plenty of people, my mom is one of them, who are able to moderate
I know it's
and are much more
crazy.
yeah. And so, vive la différence. And it doesn't matter who you are. What matters is that you respect how you are, including with sugar. So I mean, you probably know what you're like in life in general. I'm the sort of person who throws herself into things 100%. So it's no surprise that I'm an all or nothing person when it comes to sugar.
What,
But I tell you, some people feel really bad, like cutting sugar altogether, and prefer to go step by step, and more power to them.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you if you tell people to quit sugar completely or slowly reduce it over time.
Yeah, I don't tell people what to do because I deal with adults who I can lead to making their own decisions because you know yourself best. So if some people want to cut added or refined sugars but keep honey and maple syrup and that works for them, fine. If along the road they find out that actually, honey and maple syrup are actually still keeping the cravings alive,
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's a journey of discovery, and it's different
Mm-hmm.
for each person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good answer. Good answer. For me, I found that I had to go cold turkey because I rank so high on the sugar
Yeah.
scale. I just had to go through detox. It wasn't that
So,
fun,
so
but
be
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
once you get on the other side, you don't ever want to go through that detox again. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
just keep going. And that was kind of what I meant about I did something I never thought I could do. And so I was amazed that I was capable of more than I understood. Because
Yeah.
quite frankly, I did not think I was capable of doing that until I
Yeah.
did it.
No, you don't know what you're capable of until you've done it.
And that was a big one. That was maybe the biggest thing I've ever done in
Yeah.
my life, besides my math minor.
And giving birth, maybe.
Yeah, right. It's right up there with that. That's a one of these. What would I rather do? Give birth or give up sugar? Hmm.
Good grief.
What do you recommend for someone whose biggest sugar cravings happen at night?
Ah, and by night you mean in the evening or
Yes,
during the night? Yeah, in the evening.
in the evening.
Yeah, it's very common to have cravings at night. Part of it is because we're just exhausted by the end of the day. And so, what we think of as willpower, which has been shown to be completely useless in most situations, what we think of as willpower is depleted by the end of the day. You've had to
Totally,
make 101 decisions during the day.
totally,
Your brain is fried with decision
totally.
making. And
Hmm.
you can this is, evening is not the time to start battling with yourself whether or not to have this treat or not or whatever. But another reason that I've come across a lot is that people are basically bored or rather are find it difficult to cope with a little bit of boredom and food becomes entertainment.
Absolutely. Is my biggest downfall.
And yet, here we are surrounded by forms of entertainment at our
Hmm.
fingertips. And this is what we were mentioning at the beginning of this conversation, where it feels like we can't cope with the tiniest bit of discomfort or boredom. We have to do something about it straight away. So I give my program participants an assignment as homework to practice being bored.
Oh, scary.
Hmm.
How do they like that?
They don't.
That means
Mhm.
it's working.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on the scale of things that cause suffering, being bored for 5 minutes is at the bottom.
I that me too. It's the ADD brain. And so we have found in the food addiction world that ADD and food addiction usually travel in tandem.
Yeah.
So it's a lack of dopamine
Right.
problem. So boredom is the thing that sends most people into orbit. And I'm that honestly is my biggest that's my kryptonite
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
boredom. So I'm a pretty facetious planner.
Hmm.
I'm very particular about my planning, and I do that just to protect myself.
Yeah.
I meant to
Makes
say
sense.
fastidious, not facetious, fastidious planner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I
Uh,
mean, my kid has ADD, so I know what it's like, to live with that. And so it's really, you found different tools, whether
that's
it's
right.
behavior or something else, to deal with, to work with, to live with your ADD. And the same is holds true for sugar.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We have one last listener question. Do you have time for it?
Sure.
How can someone deal with social situations where sugar and desserts are everywhere?
Yeah, yeah. They're going to be everywhere. Reality check,
Yeah.
whether or not you actually eat them, right?
Yes.
You cannot control, nor should we want to really, what other people do, what they serve, what they make, what they offer you. And I was just actually prepping an episode about what to say to other people, and it's part of my program as well. First of all, you can't control other people, right? But you can control how you react and what you say and what you put in your mouth, what comes out of it and what goes in it. You can
Mm-hmm.
control that. So once you've kind of gone through the first like stage of getting sugar out of not just out of your physical system, but out of your mental system as well. And usually your body is faster than your memory or your brain. Your memories of sugar and all the good times will linger far longer than your body's reactions. Like your body's like, oh, thank God sugar's out my system. And your brain's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, but it was so nice when I used to go get an ice cream on a summer's day and all that stuff, right? So just know that it can take a while to just like make peace with all those memories. But at some point in your process, sugar will be way less off your radar than it is now. And so what is being offered or available that's full of sugar around you, you will notice it, but it will be a bit like you were saying with those bars in the outdoors shop that you were in, the store. It's like, huh, look, all this stuff is around. What do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that,
Mm-hmm.
like, no more than that. You
It ends
notice it,
there.
but it
It's
doesn't
in,
trigger you.
yeah, it ends there. Yeah, it's just awareness. You're just like,
Yeah.
interesting.
And, for myself, it's like that gives you all these choices of either eating nothing at all, which is perfectly acceptable. Nobody's forcing you to eat in any situation, especially if you're not hungry, or choosing to eat something else. It's just, it becomes a non-issue with time and practice.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Any parting words that you would like to say?
Well, again, I just want people to know that they're not alone in this. It
Yes.
feels totally shameful to have this, on air quotes, problem with sugar. But I'm just going to throw a number out there. I would say about 80% of the population probably have difficulty moderating sugar or
Agreed.
processed foods.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think, nothing shameful about it, even if it feels deeply shameful. And the other thing I want to say is that support is out there. We understand. You and I
Mhm.
understand, and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are in the exact same situation as you. And this is why you and I exist, to get this out of the closet and to deal with this and go on and live our lives fully.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And people that have the addiction to sugar and processed foods, it's just because your body is responding like it was designed to respond to these types of food. I mean, these foods were engineered for you to be addicted to
Yes.
them. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be having this conversation. So,
Absolutely. It's not a shortcoming on your part. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not
uh
broken. You're not defective.
you're
Your body
normal.
is just responding to how the food industry has designed it to
Yeah,
respond.
I agree. I agree. What is the best? I will put this in the show notes, but what is the best place for people that want to contact you?
Yeah.
Where would you say that is?
But sugarcravingsfree.com is where you will find all the information about me, my podcast, my program, my book. That's the best
Perfect.
place to find me.
Perfect. This hour has flown by. I always enjoy the time we have together. I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you are doing out there, and it's been a pleasure to visit today.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Paige.
And if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at realfoodrecovery4u.com. That's the number 4 and the letter U. And our book, Real Food Recovery, If Food Isn't the Answer, What's the Question, is out on Amazon today. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.